Hi, everybody. Well, decision rendered, but still not a final verdict, I guess. Welcome to Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a big and furry bovine. Joining me on this important day, Derek Frisbee from DF Sports and our friend Peter, Double P. And three of us are going to be going over more than just a few things. You're looking at your screen. You might be looking at something a little different. The theme of the program today is predicated on Sue L. Robinson's that was predicated upon two main facts, and we can call them facts at this point. One, that Deshaun Watson committed an egregious pattern of behavior. Fact. Anybody who goes after that many women and is mistaking massage for sex has a problem and needs to seek help. All right? That's the first one. The second one is that there was no evidence of any violent crime being committed. All right? So those things are facts at this point. So for all of the people who are saying, he's a rapist, go away. Go away. I see somebody, and Toby's good to come in like 15 minutes. Good. We're going to have another person on the panel. Toby wants to get in on the action, and that's excellent. We want to have all the people that we can. The bottom line is both of those things have been proven. One by Deshaun Watson, and the other by every judicial body that has taken a look at this case. There is no violence at all. So stop with the rapist talk. You've been proven wrong, and you're idiots for having said it because you don't understand the law. What I'm going to focus in on is the notion that a decision has been rendered. The NFLPA has said, we're not going to question this. We're not going to contest or challenge this. And the NFL is deciding whether they're going to throw their challenge flag or not. And this is where I diverge from national and local media.
Hey, Mook, can I jump in real quick?
Sure.
Just one of the things that you mentioned about the NFLPA, as far as the wording of what they said, I find very interesting. The NFLPA, when they release that statement, they say they will not counter the ruling of Judge Sue L. Robinson. So I personally, I found that interesting because that makes me wonder if the NFLPA was basically sending it out there saying, hey, listen, we won't cause drama and stir up a bunch of shit if you don't cause drama and stir up a bunch of shit. Because they said they won't appeal her ruling. They didn't say they wouldn't appeal the NFL's ruling. So I personally,
it's a good point.
I find that very interesting. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah. And again, we're not here, and I will address this before I go into this whole spiel. This is not picking on individuals. It's a matter of accuracy. If you don't want to cheer for the Cleveland Browns, that is your choice. If you want to become a booster of the Carolina Panthers, that is your business. If you want to be a fan of the Cleveland Browns, that's your business. All right? We don't stir up dirt about individuals. I got bigger dirt to stir up today. Egregious pattern of behavior. This is at the heart of what Sue L. Robinson gave a 6-game suspension for. And I see this as interesting that the NFL can still go back on this and could conceivably, if they chose to, decide that they're going to challenge this and go for a bigger suspension. And I want to remind you, other examples of egregious patterns of behavior. We will start with Tony Busby, the attorney of the plaintiffs. He's a liar. A liar. On several occasions, he stated, you know, these brave, bold 24 women are going to be in it till the end. That's what we're going to do till the end. I see somebody else. Oh, look at this. We got a bunch of people coming in. This is wonderful. And Toby, and you got a slight feedback, Toby. You're going to have to either put on a headset or something, because if you don't, what's going to happen is we're going to hear an echo behind us, right? And that becomes important. And of course, it's great to see you again, Brett. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Yep, big day.
So here's what it comes down to. An egregious pattern of behavior. And I'll give you examples. And there are so many of them. So we started with Tony Busby. He's a liar. He said they're all going to hang in on this for a year. These 24 women or 30 women or however many women there actually really are going to stick it out until the end. Fucking liar. The day before then, remember this one? These four women are going to ride this out till the end because these are honest people. As soon as the day before, when I'm sure they leaked this to Tony Busby, that it was going to be a 6-game suspension, 3 of the 4 said, okay, we're settling. You know something? I'm going to tell you all about egregious patterns of behavior.
Isn't that interesting timing, though? How overnight, the night before the suspension, 3 out of the 4 were settled out of the blue. I just thought that was interesting.
And the 4th one's only there waiting for the NFL to do whatever they're going to do. I'm absolutely stunned when I think about the egregious patterns of behavior, and they're only talking about Deshaun Watson. And the reason they're only talking about Deshaun Watson is that it's press, that it's listenership, viewership, it's ratings, and because the league is racist. Flat, plain, simple, has been, always will be. Show me a black owner in the NFL, and I'll shut the fuck up, okay? Don't show me losing football teams, rehiring the same black head coaches and then firing them, and tell me that's progress. Don't tell me that. But I'm not even going to get off on this tangent. The egregious pattern of behavior is the women. Let me explain something to you about, and I've been saving this for today, and I relish it. As a person who received massage and body work for the vast majority of my life, I can tell you one thing. There is a process called tenting. When you go in, you decide whether you're going to be naked or you're going to be partially clothed when you get a professional licensed massage. But the one thing you do not do is bring in your own little towel or a washcloth and put it over your groin. Because if you did that, they would throw you the fuck out. There isn't a single professional massage therapist that I have personally worked with in 30 fucking years who would have allowed such a thing. An egregious pattern of behavior? Guy walks in, sounds like a show. Guy walks into a hotel room carrying his own little loincloth. The woman who's advertising on Instagram and is not a licensed practitioner. That is pattern one. That there are a bunch of women who did not have professional credentials who were on Instagram advertising massage therapy when they were not professional people. That's an egregious pattern of behavior. Because you keep advertising, don't you? And how many other clients did they have? Maybe none that were as famous as Deshaun Watson, but how many people went in and paid them money and they're not licensed to do the job they say they're going to do? And here's the better one. So why didn't they tell him, okay, here's the deal. If you want to get naked, you can get naked, but we are going to tent you. And it's the way they put the sheets double. It's almost like being short sheeted. There's no way that Free Willy is going to happen on the massage table. It ain't going to happen. It can't. All the massage therapist has to do is perform the simple act of tenting the sheets. Did they do it? No. How did we get to a point where Deshaun Watson's penis was hanging out? How did it happen? Egregious patterns of behavior. That's how it happened. These women are as guilty as he is. God damn it, I can say it now because everybody else doesn't have the fucking courage to say it. I've had some of the best bodywork professional massage people. I'm a big guy. I'm a thick guy. It takes technique. It takes ability. I had a shiatsu, a man who performed shiatsu on me in Vermont. What a great guy. I'd plug him, but I didn't ask him if I could, so I won't. But I had numerous female massage therapists, and they were very, very good people and very talented, and they were licensed and they were efficient and they made their living this. This is an insult to any person who signs up to perform a service professionally, to make a living, to make people feel better, to remove pain, and to do things for their customers. And not sexual things, but holistic things. And here they are. This group of women doing this whole nonsense, and it's bogus, it's bullshit from the get-go. They are not to be trusted, they are not to be believed, they are not brave women, they are women who have broken the standard singular thing.
Hey,
They
Brett,
could
you
have
got
prevented.
A lot of wind.
Somebody
sorry.
is the wind, the wild wind. They could have avoided all this. They didn't want to avoid it because you want to know what the other egregious pattern of behavior is? Now, all but one caved. They took the money. That's an egregious pattern of behavior. All that we heard is all these brave people, they're going to stick it out to the end. And it's not just Tony Busby who lied, it's the women who lied. And if they lied about that, what else did they lie about? I'm not going to protect Deshaun Watson. Fuck him. Fuck him. He's got a problem. He's got a problem in his head. And I'm not going to judge on what kind of a quarterback he is. As a human being, he fucked up. And he's fucked up. So don't mistake what I'm saying as support. I'm just telling you all the people who are liars. And there's more. So now we have the NFL. And the NFL is the final arbiter. And if Roger Goodell wants to jump in there and say, oh, we're going to contest this and we have a problem with this, and we want to go for more punishment for Deshaun Watson, let me tell you about some of the egregious patterns of behavior by the NFL. Allowing certain favored teams to spy in broad daylight and pick up secrets about their opponents, or allowing them to run a snowplow across a field in a playoff game to allow their team room and an area to kick a field goal to win a game, or making up a rule just out of nowhere and calling it a tuck rule that was never enforced before until one play when they needed to pull it out of the hat for the team that needed to win. How about the close ties with the gambling establishment that they thought was so evil so many decades ago, and now they've cozied up in bed with them? I think gambling's just as big a problem as what Deshaun's got, and the NFL's got it. Oh, there's so much more. The whole league was built on egregious patterns of behavior. Josh Gordon, Browns fans, don't you think that's an egregious pattern of behavior? Every time you're about to get reinstated, you go out and get high and get wasted again so that you're not. And they keep letting you to get you reinstated, and you keep doing the same thing. So where is the egregious pattern of behavior? We know it's Josh Gordon. He's got a problem, just like Deshaun Watson does. But the NFL has a big problem for continuing to allow him to do it. Oh, and there's so much more. Why don't we talk about James Harrison, the linebacker for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Maybe some of you here are too young to remember some of this shit. But I got information, and if you don't remember, he took out 2 Cleveland Browns receivers in one game. One was Mohamed Massaquoi, and I'm trying to focus in on who the other one was. I had the story up here, but by golly, it's not showing up now on my top line. Neither one was called a penalty. He smashed them into the ground, knocked them unconscious. Not a penalty flag flew. Not a fine. Nothing. Until the following week when they said, now we can't let him get away with it twice. So we gave him a $75,000 fine, a slap on the wrist, and James Harrison proceeded in his press conference to state, I am not out here to injure anyone. My job is to hurt people.
Yep.
My job is to hurt people.
Well, how about even more recently, somebody like Avonta's Perfect, who's repeatedly gotten chances in the NFL.
That's right. This is all egregious patterns of behavior. How about Adrian Peterson? We can talk about all of this. I mean, there are so many examples of the NFL just assisting things that are just horrible. And you know how I feel about brain injury. And now I'm going to go the next step on that. The egregious pattern of behavior of the NFL is no different than Deshaun Watson's flesh for money. Flesh for money. It's the NFLPA's responsibility to look out for their players, and they're not doing a good enough job. But they don't want to lose $1 million contracts. So they got to put up with the NFL doing the latest thing, the guardian cap. It's not like the salary cap. The guardian cap, and no, it's not the baseball team. They're not making them wear former Indians gear. They're not doing that. The Guardian cap is supposed to protect players. It is a helmet with foam on the top of it to prevent impact, right? And so it will lessen the chance for concussions, ergo, brain damage. There's only one problem. Doesn't work. It's already been proven it doesn't work. I am a boxing historian. Boxing long ago had the idea and said, headgear is the answer. We allow our amateurs to wear headgear, and that foam protects them against the major blunt force of the blows and reduces the concussive nature. Yet we all continue to see people become punch drunk in boxing. Mildred Taylor is the one that comes to mind, but there are so many others because you never hear them publicize it, because Bob Arum and Don King and those sources, Oscar De La Hoya, and all of those boxing people will hide the damage that their sport's done to people. But it's, again, an egregious pattern of behavior. They're going to do the old foam trick again. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to force the players to wear them for just 2 weeks. That's what you call being a guinea pig. That's all they can come up with. Since 2017's initiative to make the game safer for players is to put a bunch of fucking memory foam or whatever on top of a helmet? Are you kidding me?
Well, and how about the training camp injuries as a whole? You start these players doing different drills and everything like that, and you're trying to ramp up the process, but yet how many times have we seen guys go down with ACLs and Achilles and other injuries just on non-contact situations? I mean, it's like you got to figure the process out, and I feel like they've done little to nothing to help with anything. Whether if it's strength and conditioning coaches, there needs to be a new standard of some sort.
Well, yeah, well, there obviously needs to be more science, And what this person is pointing out is that, and Tomlin is another example of egregious patterns of behavior, because so many, from Jack Lambert to James Harrison, you name it, the people who have played for that organization over time, and just in his period of time, over and over, late hits, late hits, late hits. He's coaching it. But to try to get players to wear this stupid helmet and to enforce it, to say, because we have an agreement with this company and this is what they came up with, you've got to wear it. You're a goddamn guinea pig. And the players are saying it makes us feel like bobbleheads because it's adding all this extra weight up there and our heads moving around back and forth. That sounds great. And you know something? You know why they're doing it? They want the players to hit more with their heads. If you really want to see the source of evil in the National Football League, I thought we were trying to get people to stop using their heads and lunging in and hitting with their heads. Why would you put foam on a helmet and said, now it's easier to hit with your head?
They've become weapons now.
Yeah, you're a missile. You're a human missile.
And it's about optics too. These caps that you're talking about, what the one thing you notice is, what position group are they on? They're on the offensive and defensive linemen, I believe. You don't see receivers, you don't see linebackers, you don't see tight ends. They're just putting them on the guys in the trenches, thinking that, because those are the guys who hit heads the most. No, they're not.
Safeties.
This is camp.
Safeties.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And it's walk through. The guys are not wearing pads. They're not wearing any protective gear other than a helmet. And they're barely touching each other. So why is it so necessary that you need these guys to wear these caps, it's not because they're protecting them. It's because they want the optics. Because when people see clips of training camp, they want people at home to say, wow, good for the NFL. They're trying to protect guys. No, they're not. What good does it do? Anybody who's played football and has gone through a damn walkthrough knows that shit does not matter at all.
Put headgear on and get in and spar with somebody and take a solid right hand to the head, and you tell me there's no concussive force or that it's reduced. Give me a goddamn break. This is a league that won't even acknowledge that CTE is real, for God's sakes. But they do this tokenism. And I'll tell you something else. If they come out within 3 days and say, we're going to challenge this decision, then they're going to commit the next egregious pattern of behavior, which is to discredit women, which they're really good at, because they just very recently, a few women here, a few women there. We're going to name Sue L. Robinson. If they turn around and in her first decision, which is based on legal stuff, this is a former federal judge. They brought her in for credibility, and she said 6 games. There's no evidence of violence in all this. The guy's got a problem. Of course, she's probably thinking to herself, I think the NFL has problems too, but what the hell? She's the person who they gave the responsibility to. If they turn around and try to overturn the decision that she made, that is just one more example of the NFL just talking out of their ass.
Well, it's a double-edged. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Sure, please.
This is the double-edged sword that the NFL has put themselves in, because if they came out and they ruled, or Sue Robinson came with a suspension, which now we know it's 6 games. If you view that as minimal, then you're going to have to deal with the optic side of things and the moral side of things as far as the blowback from the public. But if they come out and they override Sue L. Robinson and they tell you, no, you're going to give a full year or whatever, that double-edged sword, like you just said, goes against their entire process. And in that process, if you override her in her first decision, what is the NFLPA going to do? They're going to sit there and they're going to say, fuck you. Fuck you for putting this in the CBA and telling us that you are going to have somebody else who knows what they're doing legally rule on our problems and everything that we have to get sorted out as far as suspensions. If they override her, it is not just going to be a problem with the front offices, with the owners. You're going to have the NFLPA and Roger Goodell go to fucking war, and it's going to get ugly. That's why they better, and I'm not just saying this as a Browns fan, but if they do this, gear up, get ready, because it's going to get ugly with the entire league, not just the Cleveland Browns.
Jim Giles and I go back a long way on this program, and I haven't. Jim is up, Clearwater, Tampa area. I think he's still there. At least I hope he is. And Jim's making comments in the chat room. It's great to see you, Jim. And I miss you. Jim has appeared on the program over a decade ago. I mean, he's part of the history, all the way back, like in 2008. And all the way back then. I think it's for me, it's great to see people coming back, and I like to Clearwater still here, Jim says. All right, that's good. I'm glad to hear you're doing okay. That makes me feel good. The whole idea here is, if you want to talk up the significance of women in professional positions, and somebody renders an unbiased legal view based on their credentials as a former federal judge, and you choose not to go with it, then you just might as well just piss on her. You might as well piss on every woman. It's worse than what Deshaun Watson did, because you're in a position of power to do something about it.
She should
and
quit.
Instead, you would choose to do the same thing.
If you're Sue L. Robinson and you've been put in this place and you've taken months and months to go through this, why wouldn't you quit? I'd quit on the fucking spot. What's my value to you? You don't value my opinion. So why continue to do this?
Yeah, and it just looks more and more if they would override it like a kangaroo court, because us Browns fans, we know how long this process has taken for the announcement's coming this week, and no, it's not coming this week. And then obviously she took time out of her day and looked at all the facts and all the hearings and stuff like that to write out a 15-page paper. The optics would look so bad for the league to do that.
Absolutely. Now, Hector, I don't know. Come on, I don't know what you're saying. The show is predicated today, especially and during football season, on football. When there's no football, football reigns is supreme in Cleveland. We know that. It's okay. He's basically saying, and again, and this is a logical thing. I mean, if you're sick of it, I get it. I mean, the whole thing is amoral. I'd be the first one to tell you. I've been doing this show for 19 years, and honestly, the NFL and the players and the lifestyle and the blowing of money and the bankruptcies and the violence and the assaults, it isn't like baseball, unless it was Albert Bell. It's not like baseball. It's not like other sports. This sport is a truly violent sport, and if you're not watching the NFL anymore, then, obviously you should understand that this is not a pro league podcast. I cheer for the men who are on my team because I'm a fan, but I do not like, what the NFL does and their egregious pattern of behavior is, Wable's asking me a question. Is it enough, too much, or too little? And this is what everybody wants to know the answer to. And the answer is that it is an indefinite thing. But you can bet your ass that, predicated on the times that we live in and the number of women that were affected by this, if he walks away with 6 games, there was very little on him to begin with. What we don't know, Wable, and the reason I can't answer that question is because I don't have the volumes of testimony from the 24 women telling their story of what happened to them. I don't have that. If I did, I could give you an answer on what I think, but what I think is only based on the result. And if there's only a 6-game suspension, and if the NFL goes along with it, then they really didn't have shit. Tony Busby didn't have shit.
Exactly. And out of the 24, they only brought 5, and Robinson threw out one of them, so they only brought 4 when they're trying to suspend him. So I don't really think they had anything either. And they were leaning on Busby, like, oh, Busby, what'd they do in this? Because he was so loud about it, and now they kind of fell flat on their face.
And, again, attention is king. As long as the NFL keeps getting talked about, the more they'll continue doing this. And basically, if you watched ESPN, if you watched, First Take, if you watched all of the programs, if you watched Rich Eisen, if you watched all of the programs, you would realize that the NFL has so many talking heads in their corner that the kind of attention I want to give is the kind of attention they don't want. If there were more people who were just willing to tell the truth, who don't have a financial interest in the goddamn thing, then we would get to the bottom of it and get to the truth. The problem is again, it's money for flesh and flesh for money. Whether it's a woman giving massages who's not professional, advertising on Instagram, a football player who's willing to pay her and expose himself. If it's the NFL forcing people to wear a helmet that is not proven, not tested, and they're going to go straight to putting it on human heads, it's all flesh for money. And if you can't see that, you're blind. It's totally amoral. And I just think it needs to be said. That's why I do the program. You may not agree with me. You may be big supporters of the NFL, but 32 people who sit on the throne of professional football and hire their lackey, Roger Goodell, I have no respect for those people whatsoever. And, is this a victory? I think the only victories that are achieved are on the football field and the games. As a fan, I want my team to win. 6 games, what is it going to mean to the Cleveland Browns? Well, first 6 games, if they can go 3-3, they play some pretty weak teams. If Deshaun Watson comes in prepared to play, maybe we can stir something up.
3-3 should be the absolute floor, in my opinion, based on the schedule. The Falcons should be an absolute cakewalk. The Jets are going to be a really good team. They got a ton of good pieces, but Zach Wilson's going into year 2. What did he show you year 1? Not shit. The coach, young second-year coach, there's just too much young pieces. You play them week 2, first home game. That should be an absolute win. And then either the Panthers or the Steelers, in my opinion, I think one of those you got to get. I think 3-3, in my opinion, should be the absolute floor. And I think that's completely fine heading into week 7 when you get Deshaun back.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Peter. I didn't mean to cut you off. That's my bad.
Go ahead, Peter.
I wasn't saying anything.
Oh, okay. Anybody who wants to talk, just speak up. That's Toby. Are you out there still? Oh, Toby, are you out there? He's not. There he is. He's got his... Unmute your mic, Toby. Fill the room with your intelligence.
I don't even see him on the list here.
I think
he left. Oh, there he is.
How about now?
Can you hear me right now? Is it bad? Is there a lot of echo?
It's just not real clean audio, but we still want to hear what you have to say, my man.
All right, so my opinion on the Deshaun Watson situation is a bit different from a lot of people. My take on the Deshaun Watson is kind of rooted in what they did to Baker. My opinion, and by the way, I'm a huge fan of the show. I usually watch during the season, like almost every Friday night, Monday night. So love the show. But I feel like when Baker tore his labrum, the entire time that situation was going on, I really think if they believed Baker was the guy, they would have, sat him down and got surgery. And my belief on Watson is if they replaced Deshaun Kaiser with Watson, I wouldn't really give a shit. But I really like Baker. I like what he did for Cleveland. And the way they I just felt like the organization did him dirty. And obviously we know Watson's a way better quarterback, but I just felt like Baker was kind of my guy representing Cleveland in the way I liked. You know what I mean? He definitely represented Cleveland well. And I feel like with Watson, the situation was just super messy. And I'm excited to see what Watson can do, but I feel like I told you I live in Spartanburg, South Carolina, so it's like I feel like I'm kind of a Panthers fan now as well. And I usually, being from Cleveland, I don't really follow players. I follow, I've always been a Browns fan, always been a Cavs fan, but I think I'm going to become a Panthers fan as well, or wherever Baker goes, just because of what he did for Cleveland. So it's kind of my
LeBron effect. It's the LeBron effect. You see that with a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's not that I have anything against Baker Mayfield, but what I will say is he is a primary illustration of how this persists. The NFL, the Browns wanted to go ahead and let him play, and Baker wanted to play.
Yeah.
Baker didn't want to sit, and so he really did end up working against his own cause. and it was kind of a no-win scenario, but this is the pressure that the NFL owners and teams can put on players. It's like the first credo of football, and you know this, Toby, is that if you're not playing hurt, you're not playing football.
Yeah. I just feel like the organization really devalued him, and like intentionally. Like, I know a lot of people are like, not a conspiracy, but I feel like the organization devalued him. Like when they put James Hudson III against TJ Watt in the game when the season's already over, you can't say Stefanski's not thinking to himself, let's get this guy hurt, because they didn't like him. And I think that's what they did. What? I mean,
you're breaking
Toby,
up.
You're breaking up.
You're breaking up, Toby.
Oh.
Hey,
Yeah, you're breaking up out there.
Hey, I just want to say quick to his point though.
Yeah.
Lou, what did we talked about the division between Kevin Stefanski and Baker, and that was kind of a theory, right? People were throwing out there.
Sure.
But guess what? You're starting to see now. You're starting to see stories come out and leaks from the organization, and absolutely add Kevin Stefanski to the list of coaches Baker's had problems with. You know,
Yeah.
And we're going to see what happens with Matt Rule. I mean, Toby's in Spartanburg, my old stomping grounds. I lived more than half the year, up around Landrum in the foothills of the mountains, and only about 40 minutes away from, equidistant from Spartanburg and Greenville. And, so it's not like the Panthers. I have nothing against the Panthers whatsoever. He has an opportunity to go there and make a difference. And he damn well better be better than Sam Darnold. I mean, because that just Darnold, really has been bad. Baker has been somewhat inconsistent, and but has proven that he can, when his mechanics are set and when he's in proper condition at the right weight and utilizes the right throwing motion, he can be very, very effective. And there are a lot of people who feel the way that Jim feels, is that Matt Rule may be a dead man walking in Carolina, Toby.
Yeah, I talked to a lot of Panthers fans. They hate him. They hate him.
And so, it very well could be that Baker will be playing for, what will that be, a fifth coach?
Well, hell, Matt Rule could get fired during the season.
That's what I'm saying. Whatever system this guy learns, it gets torn asunder. So it would seem. It's been I have my feelings about Baker. I think Baker is a very unyielding person. And I think that the NFL is a very unyielding league. And I think in this instance, I think that they exposed him to needless danger. He exposed himself to needless danger, and then it was used against him. I want to see Baker Mayfield succeed. Him succeeding doesn't make me change my mind about the Cleveland Browns. I want my team to win, but I don't want him to lose. I don't want him to get hurt. I don't, that's crazy shit. And Baker Mayfield, is he better than Jacoby Brissett? Yeah, you're damn straight he's better than Jacoby Brissett. Is he as good as Deshaun Watson? Hell to the nah. No. Or nay. No. When you see Deshaun Watson play, what you're going to see, this is the guy they compared to what he was in football to what Michael Jordan was in just pure. If you look at his throwing motion and just the economy of motion in what he does, it's a different.
He's effortless.
Yeah, he's a thoroughbred that way. Now, whether he can pick up the system, whether the system is the right system, whether Stefanski gives him wide receivers, they just got rid of Isaiah Weston. The Browns just said, okay, we waived him. Injury, it's like carry him out on the meat wagon.
They waived him?
Yes.
When was this?
Today.
Oh, they did today. Oh.
Where was this posted?
Oh my God. Let's. Why don't you? Do you want me to try to pull this up? I'll try to pull it up.
If you can, I'll look for it too. I have not seen this. I think it's a major mistake if they did. They could have stashed
Oh
him
yeah,
on
they
IR.
did. Yeah, they did do it.
Who did they release?
Isaiah Weston. He's feared to have a torn ACL. And they activated Jack Conklin from the PUP list, but then they waived wide receiver Isaiah Weston. So,
motherfucker.
Did we just draft him?
Yeah,
He was
yes,
undrafted.
we just drafted
He was
him,
a
and he's no good to
UDFA.
us now because he's got a torn ACL.
Shit.
A scrap heap.
Motherfucker,
sucks.
of course.
Well, I know that a lot of them.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I blindsided you, Derek.
No, I'm pissed because it's like, I swear we get these guys. It's not that he was going to come in and be great, but he had fucking potential. And then this shit happens. Of course that happens to us.
A lot of the
Fuck.
Browns guys in the organization, they do like Michael Woods and how he's playing in camp. I know that's not as
He's
good
making
as
the
like Weston,
roster.
but
With all these injuries, he's making the roster. You can
Who
mark
is?
that
Yeah.
down. Michael Woods.
Well, no, he could be next carried out. I mean, if the
Who they got to
organization,
replace him? That's
Let
the
me
only
tell you.
problem.
the organization does not value wide receivers. They don't pick them when they're available, the better talent. They let it slide down into the draft. So they're getting a bunch of third, fourth, fifth, sixth round guys who never amount to a whole hell of a lot. We've spent $230 million in going through hell with Deshaun Watson. And now who in the hell does he have to throw to? David Bell is injured. Isaiah Weston is gone and injured. And, this is, and it's just a matter of time until the next one goes down and the next one goes down, because that's what's been happening to this organization for decades.
These guys who are subpar and experienced need a lot of work. So you got to do more reps with them, and then more risk of things like ACL, obviously. So,
Yeah, and and again, I understand, that you're right. I mean, Isaiah Watson wasn't good. Isaiah Weston wasn't going to be the next coming of the great receiver. He was just trying to fight his way somehow based on.
Hector, let me respond to Hector right quick. First of all, spell my name right. Second of all, I'm not freaking out over some bottom tier dude. You have to look at it from the perspective, who the fuck do we have? We have nobody. So the very few bright pieces that we have, yeah, Weston, if he did play it off, was he going to be effective and come in and be a number 2? No, that's not what I'm saying. But you got to have the fucking bodies in camp. You have to have people. And he had a little bit of potential. So, yeah, I'm going to be upset because now who do we have? I mean, answer that for me. Who do we have? No
probably
one.
going to use Felton or something.
Are you
Yeah,
talking about
exactly.
receiver, right?
And then
I mean, who we have? Amari Cooper, David Bell, and then DPJ. I mean, that's not terrible.
Amari
I
Cooper
mean,
went down today. My buddy was there.
Who did?
Amari Cooper went down today. My buddy was there. He said he walked it off and he'll be fine. But just even that scare. Like, geez.
yeah, and
It's
they
like
have
a
to,
curse.
and they have to use Jakeem Grant, who's the kick return specialist. He's been getting a lot of wide receiver reps.
You'd be better off letting these guys just sit on the couch all summer, for God's sakes.
then you go get Hugh Jackson, so no one practice anymore.
Yeah, and this is the other thing, and we're going to have some disagreement, and that's because we're all fans. We're fans. Hector is angry and doesn't really want to follow football. He does have opinions, though. And yes, if you're telling me that, and I've been reading this line of thinking, a very shallow line of thinking on Twitter, that, Deshaun Watson is just a 500 quarterback. That's all he is. Yeah, he had Brandon Cooks and he had DeAndre Hopkins. It's like, you want to look at the team they fielded around him,
Yeah.
the offensive line they put in front of him, You want to look at the defense and the coaching problems, the organizational problems that the Texans have had. We should bring Stephen Rose on here, and he could just give you an entire litany of things. No. Deshaun Watson, if given a roster as talented as the Cleveland Browns, assuming they can stay healthy, for God's sakes, it will make a large difference. He's a superior quarterback to Baker Mayfield. And Baker Mayfield had this team and had one nice season with it. And the rest of the time, and I understand, we were hiring and firing coaches. He was hurt. There are a lot of circumstances, but a lot of mechanical problems with him. A lot of things that were of his own doing. Yeah.
And I'm not trying to rag on Baker, but all he had to do was beat Chad Henne in the playoff game, and we would have been in the championship. And also to respond to the comment, yeah, he had Cooks and Hopkins, but he had his best year in 2020 without Hopkins this first year. And when you put up a stat line like he did with the yards and the touchdown and the completion percentage, all the other quarterbacks who did that in history had deep playoff runs and were at least 11 wins, and he was the only one with under four wins with under 10. So yeah, that just speaks how bad the Texans were as a team and an organization.
Yeah. Hector, now you're tripping the light fantastic. You think that Anthony Schwartz will become halfway decent? First of all, we don't need.
You want to talk shit to me, Hector? Okay.
Please. I mean, halfway decent is what we need, and there's a guy. He will be, and he's hurt already. He's not even going to make it to the field. I'm serious. He's not going to come out of training camp whole. He's a twig. His body can't take it, and he does not have the requisite skills to be an NFL wide receiver. And if so I was screaming about Corey Coleman. I know a bow wow when I see one. All right. And I've seen so many wide receivers come to Cleveland, Do
you think he can be at least average? Because I think he can be an average receiver. I don't think he'll be like a road breaker, but I think
was Greg Little average? I mean, do you want me to name the people for you that I've had to sit back and watch on this team? How about Brian Robisky? Does that one grab you?
So you don't think he can get at least maybe 400, 500 yards a season?
No.
Can't stay healthy, bro.
No. The guy is just not meant to play football. It sucks for him, but it's the truth. He doesn't have it. He just doesn't have the body for it.
Yeah, it's And it's true. Watson had a horrible offensive line, just horrible. And so it's shallow thinking to say, well, he was a 500 quarterback, and we just traded one 500 quarterback for another. It's like, please, don't even go there. There's no, just no.
Yo, Moo, can I add something real quick that I wanted to say real quick?
You bet.
All right, so I feel like, and I hate to harp on Baker, but I know it's it's over. He's not on the team anymore. But I feel like the problem with the situation is we've always needed a quarterback. We've never had a good quarterback. You've seen the jerseys where there's 20 names on the back of a jersey. And I felt like the narrative was, once we got Baker, is that the team around him grew superior to him. And it was the narrative sent, not just the media, but the fans, the coaches. It seemed like the team around Baker was too good, and he was somehow holding us back. And I don't know if that's true, but it definitely felt like it, especially in the playoffs and just in general, especially last season, people were how he has his offensive line, the running backs, our defense is really good. Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, our secondary is good, and we suck. So it's it has to be, you know what I mean? It seemed like that happened very quickly for him with all the dysfunction, but yeah, and I could say when I was watching him in training camp, I was kind of surprised. He really is an overachiever. The dude is not that big, but he is kind of weird. He's bigger than I thought he was, but he's not. He's probably my size. You know what I mean? I'm like 5'10". He's a little bit taller than me, and he's got a chip on his shoulder. You could really tell, and I think that's what carried him. But he's really an overachiever, and I think Deshaun Watson is just fluid. He's just in another stratosphere of Baker, but I think Baker definitely has the potential to do something with Carolina.
I hope he does. I really do. Now, Hector, the famed, we have to look at camp cuts. You know something? We were a damn expansion team, and that's all we got were camp. It don't get it for me. Where is our Jamar Chase? Where is our guy? We've had to watch our competition year after year, decade after decade. Great receivers come and go. And where's our guy? Who can you tell me that we had as a wide receiver that's as good as Jamar Chase? Talk facts to me, Hector. I don't want to look at camp cuts, guys who other teams don't want. I don't want to sift through the garbage. Teams got to win. They got to win now.
Which is exactly why when you sat there at 44 with Sky Moore on the fucking board.
I can't believe they didn't fucking draft him. That's crazy.
And you passed up on him. And I know, we've talked about Pickens, but there was guys on the board that could come in and be a number 2, at least number 2, number 3. And now you're sitting here with nobody. Injuries.
Right. What did I call Robisky? I'm sorry, Hector. Thank you for correcting me. Did I have his first name wrong? All I know, he was the coach's son, and he was another one of these guys who had they gave us the David Bell shine on him. Oh, he knows how to run a pattern. He's not real fast, but he's got great feet. And it's like, it couldn't get open.
And that's the other factor is in this type of offense, you need a specific type of receiver for it to work. That we've talked about this months ago. And now you're really, really running out of options with that.
Will Fuller beating it like a drum, but I think he comes now. Maybe he doesn't, but
I mean, with
if
our running
Cooper
game
gets hurt, dude, you know how fucked we are?
Yeah, I mean, we're thin. We're really thin. Any free agent receivers left, Wable. I mean, we had a chance to get some of them too, and we just don't do it. It's so obvious where the weakness is, and and it looks like Stefanski's just like, we're going to go at it with David Njoku and Harrison Bryant. Here I come to save the day. It's like fucking Mighty Mouse. It's not good.
And news out of camp is that Johnny Stanton's going to play that third tight end role. So.
Oh God. Was he the fullback when he had a fullback dive too? That one play when we had Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and he was a 4th down. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was like 4th and 1, and they did a fullback dive play, and I was just like, oh my God! Of course, it got stuffed.
Ricardo Lewis. Thank you, Hector. There's a great blast from the past too. One more Auburn receiver. This is what we needed. Ricardo Lewis. He lasted 1 year. It's been so many of these guys. And yes, you earned an LOL from me because Ricardo Lewis, oh my God, that was bad. Bad hands, you name it. Just didn't have it.
So for you, Moo, is OBJ still a no? Because for me, it's still a no for me.
Oh, what's amazing is he's got Sean McVay saying, "We want you, OBJ," and it's like, stop blowing him, please.
He's not going to play till December.
And he's already playing his hand. I don't want anything to do with OBJ. He's a fucking loser.
He's a cancer, man, honestly.
Yeah, just terrible. Just terrible, and no. And Greg Smith, you're absolutely right. It was almost too good to be true. We got Josh Gordon out of Baylor, and honestly, he had such a checkered past. It shouldn't have come as any surprise that this would emerge with the Browns. But man, for that 1 year, I couldn't believe it. It's like, we've got our guy. we've got our guy. I mean, he's big. He fights for the ball. He's fast and can't be caught from behind. It's like, this guy's awesome. Yeah, he was the one, and it was 1 year, one and done. And that's it. That's right, Greg. That's it since 1999.
Yeah,
That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
Would you say Jarvis was probably our best receiver? I mean,
Jarvis Landry's a professional. He's a pro's pro. By the time we saw him, his body was already breaking down. He
I
had
think
his
the first
best
2
years.
years were pretty good. His first 2 years with us were like
He was very good, but it was more smarts than it was anything, and you could see that he was getting dinged up.
Yeah. We definitely have a tough division though, and if you really think about it, look at the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, who's their third option? Tyler Boyd, right? I guess T. Higgins would be their second option. Is DPJ better than their fourth option? Like,
Yeah.
that's what we kind of have to ask. Like, that's what we're going against. Like, we don't have anywhere near the firepower, but we have this amazing running game, and I wonder how Stefanski's going to operate, knowing like, hey, look, we don't have these guys that they have. I mean, are we going to run the ball 50 times a game? I mean, who knows? I mean,
Dude,
Deshaun Watson, I assume they open it up,
You got to get a Sterling Sharp or or Darius Slayton, somebody. You have to. You have no choice.
Look what we had. We had Ozzie Newsome as a tight end. And if there was a better tight end, tell me about it. I mean, he could do it all. And, when you have guys who have long careers that are productive, who are just great talents, then it allows you to get better in other parts of your team. But when you leave the explosive part of your team, the wide receivers, and you just are under talented at those positions, you end up with the exact kind of offense that Stefanski draws up. It's like watching a Russian chess match, pawn moving, another pawn moving. It's slow, it's predictable, and it narrows the field. And you just, you need to have explosive. And if it's just one guy who can run, they're going to double him every time. And if your other receivers are not good enough to take advantage of the single coverage, you got problems on your hands. This has been the problem for the team. Any thoughts on the NFL appealing? I don't think it happens. It would be incredible if the NFL chose to appeal. Like I said, they would be shitting on a woman that was hired to do her job, who's qualified and made and rendered a decision predicated on all the information that she was provided with. And to step over her would be the most insulting thing yet. At this point, it would be very hard politically for them to make an appeal on this.
And also to add to that the facts that Sue Robinson found in the case, those are going to be taken as facts. So just like if you're like shoplifting, you can't then be tried for like, oh, you did an armed robbery. So they're only going to be able to get him for the sexual misconduct, and there's not really going to be like a way to like precedent or be able to say, oh, he did rape or something of that nature.
Yeah, and Hector sums it all up. Johnny Stanton is a guy who, a special teams player, and I don't know, God only knows. We love these guys, and yeah, Hector, that's right. Will Fuller, T.Y. Hilton, and Deshaun Jackson, and these are older guys who have injury problems. Will Fuller especially.
T.Y. Hilton's a free agent, though?
What?
Is T.Y. Hilton a free agent? I thought he was on the Colts.
T.Y. Hilton is, from what I understand, is available.
And he's old. And Deshaun Jackson, he's contemplating retirement. So.
Really old. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Will Fuller or T.Y. Hilton, we should definitely, on the right price. I mean, what do you have to lose, Like, you might as well get him. Or at least try to.
And this is the problem. This is what we're down to is, we're sending up hope, flares looking for help when we had a position in the draft where we could have drafted a really solid guy. and we
I
did
wanted to
not
get Sky
do it.
Moore. I wanted to get Sky Moore, and the Chiefs were at like 32, and they like I don't know if they traded back, but they didn't pick him. I think they traded back, and they still got him at like 44. And I was just like, damn, we really could have got a guy who I thought was could definitely, come in day one and be good. But, if you look at Anthony Schwartz, man, I just think he doesn't have the body. Like, he can't take a hit to stay healthy. I don't know. I mean, I don't really hate Amari Cooper, though. I think he's better than what we've had. But I wish we still had Jarvis. I mean, like we said, we know Jarvis is beat up. But if we had Jarvis and Amari, it would be – it's not really a good room, a wide receiver room, but it could be a lot worse. We're not like one of the – I don't know. I would say we're like a top 20 team with receivers. But with our running game, I think it won't be as bad as people think. But with injuries, it could be a lot worse,
Hector, I want to answer your question. You've hung in there like a champ. With the Guardians only one game out of the Central, should they be buyers at the trade deadline? The problem is we know that the organization doesn't want to spend money. What I would tell you is this. I would be getting rid of Reyes because the guy, he's got an uppercut swing. He's not paying attention to what hitting coaches are telling him. He doesn't fit in with the kind of team that we have. And let's be honest, you're not going to get some kind of a godly player. What I would do is, what I'm concerned about is we are short a starter. And this team is predicated on pitching and station-to-station hitting. We have guys who have good hand-eye coordination. We have an opportunity, if we dump Reyes, if we can get a younger arm for him, and we seem to do a great job at developing pitchers in Cleveland. I would do that. I would bring Will Brennan up from AAA. He's another Stephen Kwan kind of hitter, a guy who's a 300 minor league hitter, no matter where he's played. He's got great hand-eye coordination. And, the fact is, you get men on base because we're not swinging at bad pitches, and guys like Kwan and guys like Ahmed Rosario are hitting. I wouldn't trade those. I wouldn't trade Ahmed Rosario. We've got guys who they're not big power hitters, but they're able to get on base, and we have some speed. If we have Kwan at the leadoff, we have guys who can run. Jimenez can run. There's a bunch of guys on the team. Miles Straw can run if he could get on base. My feeling is give Brennan the opportunity to come up and put him out in right field and see what happens, because Miles Straw, he's hitting 219. He's not going anywhere because he's making fabulous defensive plays in the outfield. And we just got done winning a series in Tampa, and Tampa is a team that's built very similarly to the way Cleveland is, and we out-Tampa'd Tampa. And you're saying, well, who's Tampa? Well, they're a team that's made the playoffs the last several years, and they know how to play this kind of game. And, Clase has been money. I felt badly about, we have I don't think that De Los Santos is a setup guy. They're using Karinchak earlier in games because he's had arm trouble. And I don't know. He would normally have been the setup guy if his arm was healthy. Eli Morgan pitched his way out because he's like Josh Tomlin, prone to giving up gopher balls. We need a solid setup man for that eighth inning. And we obviously know, that we don't currently have like one guy to do that job. We've got Clase to get us out of the game, but we need that setup guy. So we get 6-7 solid innings from our starters, which, we've got, a good 4 starters who can give us that. We just don't have a 5th starter right now. So that's where I'm at with it. I would do whatever I could to try to get an additional arm, because I'm skeptical that our starting pitching is just not holding up. A 4.19 ERA at this point in the season is not what people in Cleveland wanted. So that's what I know about that. I'm done. It's 11 after 7. We could go on and on and on. This has been an interesting program. Toby, thank you for coming in, and you're welcome to come in here anytime you want, man. Anybody from Spartanburg and that area, hey, I love that area. That was a nice second home for me, really was. And Brett, thank you for coming in. I appreciate that, and thanks to everybody, Derek and the whole crew. Thanks for showing up. We'll be back again. This whole thing starts all over again on Friday, and we'll see who they drag out of camp hurt next. I just hope this doesn't become the story of the season. Everybody, thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll be back again on Friday. Until then, hasta la vista, Pasture Heads. Good night.
Moo.
Moose.
Ooh.